Hello, I'm Lauren with IndoorGardening.com, and today we're going to talk about the 5 things to do with your plants before moving them outside. Spring is finally here. It's so exciting. We can all take our plants outside, have them grow a huge amount. It's going to be amazing. Moving our plants outside is something that a lot of houseplant owners and indoor gardeners love to do. It's one of the most exciting times because when we move our plants outside, they can soak up the natural light. We can save on our indoor grow lights. Plants can be getting exactly what they need with the wind and the pollination, and it is just absolutely fabulous. There is always an intense amount of new growth outside as well. You can sit on your porch and sip your tea and enjoy the beautiful foliage growing around you. And then you get to take them indoors and have these big, beautiful plants at the end of the season. There are a lot of benefits as to moving your plants outside, and we do talk about those in another video. But today we wanted to talk about some of the things you can do to take advantage of having your plants outside and enable them to grow as much as possible. We're going to go over those 5 different things today, and hopefully by the end of it you can have big, beautiful plants and be prepped to take your plants outside for springtime. The first thing we wanted to talk about that you can do is repotting your plants. When you take your plants outside at the end of wintertime and beginning of springtime, their root systems might have filled up the pots over winter, or they might be close to filling up the pots. You do not want your plant going outside, having a very full root system and outgrowing the pot in the middle of summertime. It can be very annoying and set your plant back during its high growth period if you're repotting it in the middle of spring and summertime while it's trying to push out all of this new growth, possibly producing fruit or flowers at the same time. It can cause your plant to lose those leaves, lose those fruits and flowers, so you definitely want to make sure that you're repotting them before you set them out there so that the roots can grow back in prime conditions, and then your plant can go ahead and have full growth outside and you don't have to disturb them the entire growing season, and then you can just repot them when you're bringing them back indoors if they need it. Their root system is going to grow as the entire plant grows, so you also want to make sure that the pot is going to work for the outside conditions that you're putting it in. So for example, inside maybe a terracotta pot was the best thing for you because you were trying to prevent overwatering in the wintertime. Moving them outside in the springtime, they're going to dry out a lot faster, especially with the wind. If you're in a southern state where it dries out and it gets really, really hot, then perhaps a terracotta pot is not going to be the best thing for your plant. You may want to switch it up to a plastic or a ceramic pot so it holds on to more moisture for you. The next thing that you can do after repotting your plant is cleaning off the leaves. Your plant has sat through the entire winter holding on to all the dust, dirt, and debris from your home. It may not have been able to photosynthesize very well, and when you are taking your plant outside, you want to make sure that they're going to be able to catch as much sun as possible, be able to absorb as much as possible, so that way they can grow as much as possible. Also, when you're repotting your plant, you probably got some dirt on the leaves. I know I always do. I can never repot a plant without getting a bunch of dirt all over the foliage. So that's another thing to be aware of. Just make sure that you are cleaning the leaves. You can use an insecticidal soap as well. It's also best to do a pest check on your plant as well and treat for pests before you put them out, so that way your plant can be at its best going forward outside. If you have a particular plant that has a heavy pest problem, generally try to rinse off the leaves as much as possible and then set them outside. A lot of times you can have natural predators coming onto the plant to take care of huge pest infestations, versus if you just set a plant outside that had just a little bit of a pest infestation, it might not be enough to call all those predators over. They probably have a larger snack elsewhere, and then your plant will struggle with pests the entire season. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Make sure that you're cleaning your leaves, taking care of your plant as far as that goes, and making sure your plant is going to be as healthy as possible when you're setting it outside, and you can make the best decision for your plant based on what you see when you're cleaning the leaves. After you're done cleaning the leaves, you want to go ahead and prune your plant. Because your plant is going to be growing prolifically outside, it is going to run wild with the shape that it has. So if you have a plant that only has one vine, it's going to grow that one vine super huge for you, which may be what you want. But if it's not what you want that vine to branch out and have 2 or even 3 vines, then maybe prune that. If you have a particular plant that already grows very quickly and has overgrown, maybe you want to trim that back and kind of clean that up a little bit so that it can really take advantage. Tradescantia especially are one of those plants where they have stretched out and they need to be pruned back quite a bit, repotted up top to have a very full, lush looking pot that can grow throughout the summertime. It just depends on what style you're going for with your plant, what's going to work best for your plant in your particular situation. After you're done pruning and shaping your plant the way you want it to be, you want to take a look at the weather. A lot of indoor houseplants, majority of indoor houseplants are not frost tolerant. You do want to make sure that you are well past the frost date. You do not want to put your houseplant out on your porch, have it be big and beautiful, going through, 70-degree and 80-degree days, and then suddenly it drops down into the low 30s, upper 20s overnight, and you come out to a very, very sad, unhappy, no more leaves plant. Probably not going to make it plant, unfortunately. So definitely make sure you're checking the weather, you're paying attention, you research your plant, and you make sure that your plant can survive in the conditions that you're putting it out outside. Just because it's a warm, beautiful day outside today does not mean that it's going to stay that way, and it does not mean that it is now time to bring all your houseplants out. You may even have to jump around a little bit, bring them out when it's warm on the warm days and bring them back in on the cooler days, and just pay attention throughout the days when it's getting warmer and cooler. Some people like to do that. Other people like to go ahead and just bring their plant directly out as soon as they know that it is going to be warm for the rest of summertime. So it just depends on what's going to work best for you. The last thing that we wanted to talk about is when you are moving your plants outside, make sure that you're acclimating them. This is such an important step that we actually have an entire video on how to acclimate your plants and what acclimating means for your plants. Essentially, short version is it's making sure that your plants can handle the conditions that you're putting them in. If they're going from a very dark area and you're going to put them in bright direct sun outside, they're going to burn, they're going to be sad, they're going to be cranky, and they're going to lose leaves. They're certainly not going to be putting out any new beautiful growth. So definitely make sure that you're giving them a little bit more light at a time. If you're switching them from warm temperatures to cooler temperatures that are going to warm up later, drop the temperatures and put them in a cooler room a little bit, or move them out for a little bit in cooler temperatures, but not as cold as it could be. Kind of adjust slowly. Plants do not like big events happening in their lives. They really don't. They like small, tiny adjustments, and they tend to throw fits and lose leaves and stop new growth and those sort of things if we end up shocking them too much, unfortunately. It can also cause them to become susceptible to pests and fungal and bacterial issues like root rot. So definitely it's worth taking the time to acclimate your plant, to have a healthy plant throughout the summer so you can have a big, beautiful plant to do whatever you want with at the end of the season. And acclimating your plants is definitely one of the most important things to do to make sure that your plant is fully taking advantage of being outside this season. I know it sounds like a lot of work prepping your plant to go outside. They can also soak up nutrients just by the wind and the air. A lot of houseplants are aeroids and epiphytic plants, and just being outside can create a huge difference in their growth. It's definitely worth taking the time to shuffle them outside. We do have other videos on that you can take a look at out here. You can also check out indoorgardening.com. We always have more information there, and we're always happy to help. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!